Going to be learning how to use the table saw, and it is one of the most basic tools to the woodworking program. We're going to start off on the proper clothing and protection that you need to have to be able to start to use the saw. So I'm going to have you pan now over to the student that is here. Come in front of the saw, please. First of all, notice that his sleeves, pan in on his sleeves, are hanging down. Those sleeves are dangerous. They need to be rolled above your arms, so start rolling those above your arms. He also needs to have proper eye protection, which is the required eye protection with side shields. You need to wear those at all times when you're using the saw. And you need not to have any jewelry or anything hanging down that could get caught into the saw when you're using it. If you have overly long hair, you need to wear a band or a rubber band, tie your hair back out of the way. If your hair falls in front of your face, you can't see, then you need to have the hair back so that you can properly see. We're going to have another student come in for a second. This is very common attire for students. They wear hooded jackets. These are very dangerous right here. Those need to be put inside. Your backpack should not be on your back when you're cutting. It should be removed and stored away from the saw before you're using the saw. Okay, you got to have your sleeves up higher. So pull them up above your arms and go ahead and put your eye protection on. Okay, once we have the proper attire and personal safety gear on, then we're ready to begin to get the saw ready to start to use. The very first thing that you always want to check, and I want you to pan in right here, is to check the blade height. Take your workpiece, set it on the side of the blade, and it needs to be 1/4 of an inch above the saw. That is the distance from this valley in the gullet of the saw blade to the top of the blade. Therefore, this saw blade right now is too tall. So we're going to now show you how to raise and lower the saw blade. Okay? You need to stop. And I need you to move. We're talking about how to set the saw blade. We have the saw blade too tall. And the hand wheel is down below, right down here. And this is the locking knob that has to be released. And this is the hand wheel. Go down there and grab the hand wheel. And as you turn that, you will see the blade going up and down. Get on down. Right there. A little bit lower. Right there. Okay, so now we have the saw blade set at the proper height. The next thing that we need to learn how to do is how to put on the guard on the saw. We're going to move back over on this side now, so stop it. Okay, the next thing we're going to learn how to do is how to take the guard and put it onto the saw. The guard is stored down in the holder below the saw, as you can see right here. The student's now going to take the guard, remove it from the holder, and move it into this bracket which holds it. Stand over here on the side so the camera can see. And he's going to unloosen the knob on the top so that he can slide it in from the back. And there's a line right here. Let's show this line. There's a line right here that we're lining up to the back of this housing. Going to slide it into the back, lining it up, and then tightening down the knob. Now that it's installed in the holder, we're ready to move the cage down over the workpiece by pulling out on the black knob. Do not pull down on it until you pull out on the black knob. So demonstrate that, please. Pull straight back and down. Do it again. Bring it up and then bring it out. There it is. That's how the proper. By the way, this is a counterbalance, and this should be sticking out. There's a mark on that as well. This should be sticking out in that, so that this is counterbalanced by that, and that is tight. So now we've learned how to set the saw blade, and we've learned how to set the guard. Okay? I want you to move now back over and we're over here. Okay, the next thing you need to learn to do is how to properly set the fence system to the desired width of cut. We have a scale and a pointer that's right here that indicates the manual position of the fence between the blade and the fence. This is the distance between this edge and this fence, and we have a digital scale. You pull up on the handle. You do not pull up on the Beastmar. If you do, the bracket that is captured underneath here will rip off, and the scaling system won't be activated anymore. So you want to hold your hand on top like this with your thumb on top, pull up on the handle, and then move the scale to the desired width. So this time we're going to cut 5 inches. So we're going to move the line to 5 inches, and then we're looking for no bars and 5 inches. So there's 5, that is not 5, that's not 5, that's not 5. This is 5 when there's no bars. No bars, right there is 5. 5 inches is right there. Once you have achieved your desired width of cut, you need to lock the fence down so the fence doesn't move to the side and cause the fence to come away and to get an inaccurate cut and or have the wood kick back on you. Okay, go ahead and stop. Focus in right in here. Okay, your workpiece has already gone to the radial arm saw to cut it to rough length. It's already been jointed on its face and the edge needs to have an X placed upon it to indicate the jointed edge, because that's the edge that's going to go against the Beastmar, because the piece that you want to cut is between the blade and the fence, not on the left side. When we use the saw, we're going to use a push stick to protect our right hand. We're going to use a fat or big push stick for anything over 4 and a thin push stick for anything under 4. So we're going to be using the fat push stick. There's a scribe line and purple throw plate. Your left hand needs to stay behind this line, behind this throw plate. The jointed edge needs to go against the fence, and the wood needs to start behind the throw plate. The push stick has to go in the middle of the board in this distance, not in the middle of the board, in the middle of the distance between the plexiglass and the Beastmar fence. So the push stick needs to be here. We're going to demonstrate the body technique that you need to be. Move up against it, move your thighs up against the bar. Your right hand is on the push stick with it in the middle of the distance between here and here, and your left hand is directly behind the throw plate, applying pressure here. You never ever push with your left hand. Never ever pushing with your left hand. Your left hand is only pushing in that direction, keeping this jointed edge tight against the fence so that you get a parallel straight cut at your desired width of cut. So this is your body position that you want to achieve. You're going to leave the left hand behind. You're going to use your push stick to push the wood all the way past the saw blade, and once the wood leaves the edge of your left hand, you're going to move your left hand over to the side to support yourself here, and then you're going to push directly beyond. Okay? We also now, let's go ahead and relax for a second, we're going to look at the on-off switches. We have the on and the off switch. We're only going to use the on switch here to turn the motor on, and we're going to be using this stop button because we don't want our face down near the saw blade when we turn it on. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you. On is here. Do not reach down to turn it off here because you get your face down too close. We're now ready, now that we know the on-off switch, we're now ready to demonstrate the first cut on how to cut wide stock. So go ahead and resume your body position. I'm going to have the student demonstrate the entire procedure. Reach down, turn the power on. Left hand up here on the throw plate. Eyes are watching right here. Keeping it going back the blade. Right there, then let it go. Reach down, turn the power off. Wait for it to come to complete stop. Using the push stick, he's going to walk around. He's going to raise the plex. You can't do it in front of him where you can't see. Raise up the guard. Use the push stick to remove the scrap. Walk around to the front of the saw to go get the wood. That is a cut, and you can notice that we still have the jointed edge in the wood. And this is a completed cut at 5 inches. This would be our scrap. Never reach in with your hand into here. Never use your hand to push the wood through. Never remove the stock by reaching over the saw blade and pulling the wood back. Never use your push deck against the fence. And I want to show you why that is true. When you push against the fence on here, the wood wants to come away. When you push the wood in the middle, it goes straight. That's why you don't want to put the push stick against here, because it causes it to come away. Okay, go ahead and stop. The next function of the saw is how to cut stock that is under 4 inches wide. To do that, we gotta learn how to remove the guard. So the student will demonstrate the proper method of removing the guard now. So go ahead and remove the guard. He loosens the knob up, slides it back out, puts it in the holder on the side of the saw, and you want to make sure that this is tightened down so that that doesn't vibrate, hit the saw blade, and hit you. Okay? So we're cutting without the guard for narrow stock. Now the student's going to move around, and he's going to set the saw. Same basic system of setting this. We're going to make a 1 inch wide cut. 1 inch wide cut. So go ahead and set the scale system at 1 inch. You want to tap on the sides. You don't want to use this to move it. And again, when you pull up on it, you want to go like this with it. This hand on top. Okay, he's getting no bars. And he locks it down. The wood is jointed on this edge, so this edge is again behind the throw plate. We're switching to a thin push stick. Show them the thin push stick. That allows you easier to get it through this area in here. And now you'll be able to very clearly see how the workpiece needs to go past the edge of the saw blade, how the saw blade stops with the saw brake, and how to properly remove the scrap and the workpiece. Okay, so this is cutting wood that's narrow. Go ahead and demonstrate that, please. Push stick is in the middle again, which is right here. Left hand's behind the throw plate. His body leaves a space here so that that wood comes out. It doesn't going to kick him, so you do want to move a little bit like this. You don't want your hip turned like this. You want your hip turned like that. You want to dress the saw straight up. You don't want to turn your hip away. Okay, so there's the proper position. This hand never goes beyond right here. This hand's pressing in this direction, and this hand's pressing in that direction. Go ahead and turn the saw on and make the cut, please. Power on. And then testing this way. And on the side, just all the way beyond the saw blade. Turn the power off. Wait for everything to come to a complete stop. Use your push stick to remove your scrap, walking around. That goes in the trash, and this is our 1 inch workpiece. Notice he's walking around to be able to go do this. And that the wood still has the jointed edge on the board. Okay, go ahead and stop. Okay, the next thing we're going to learn how to do is how to cut longer boards like this. This requires a helper. That is a person that we call tailing off. We're going to cut a board at 5 inches wide, which means we're going to put the guard on again, so this will allow you to see the guard set up again. We're going to have to readjust the fence, and then we'll go into the method of using a person who's tailing off, how to properly do that. So we'll get the guard set. The guard comes off the side of the saw, set back up. Blade extension doesn't need to be checked because it's still a 1/4 inch above. He's sliding it in from the back. Getting it matched up the line, tightening it up, bringing the guard down, and setting the fence at 5 inches. You notice why you cannot use the guard for narrow cuts. It won't even go down all the way. That's why the guard had to be removed for a narrow cut. Set the fence at 5 inches, please. So he's releasing. Again, when you remove this, you want to put your hand here and move it this way so that you don't pull this up. So set it at 5. Setting at 5, making sure that he locks down the fence. You don't lock down the fence. The fence moves away to one side, and you will get an inaccurate cut, and it can possibly kick back on you. Guard down, please. Now, when we're cutting a big long piece of wood like this, what happens is that the wood comes here and then wants to fall off. Okay? So what we need to have is a person who's going to assist them, and a different method back here. Let's talk about this method first. We're going to have a wide push stick. We're going to set our push stick like this against the B-spar. Our left hand again is holding the wood tight against. We're going to push with our right hand until my right hand gets up to here, and then I'm going to pick up the push stick and put in the middle. This is what we don't want to do. We do this and we don't have control because we're back here. If this board was longer, how would you possibly even get all the way back here? So we're going to leave the push stick, left hand up here like this, push it up until the end of this board gets up on the table, pick up the push stick, and then we're also at the same time, we're going to have a person tailing off. And focus in on me right here. I'm going to be the tailer off. I'm going to hold my hands underneath the board. I'm not going to pull it, because by pull I can pull his hands into the saw blade. I'm simply supporting this stock so that the stock doesn't fall off the table and get out of control for him. So I'm just a support. Okay? All right? We're going to go ahead and do this. So you want to start by putting your wood right here. Get the power on. Shoot over there first, and then move to me as you get through the cut. So you want to put your hand up here. Get tight against the tip. Put it down level. And go ahead. Down. Okay. Pushing till the back of the board comes to the table, then picking up the push stick. Pick up the push stick at this point, put it in the middle of the workpiece. In the middle of the workpiece. Now over here, notice I'm tailing off. Push into here, and it's fine for me to go ahead and just take this workpiece away. Okay, that's how long stock is accomplished. The only difference is to have someone tail off on this.